Aside from the Lego products you can buy at Shop at Home or in Lego stores, there are also Lego education products. Normally these are intended to be sold to teachers and educators, but you can actually find them from Lego Education's website or sometimes resellers as classrooms liquidate their old stuff. Now, these sets sometimes come with things that aren't available in the standard ecosystem. This is the Power Functions version of something that also came out in the 9-volt era. The intent of this, I suppose, is to demonstrate principles of energy storage, whether solar or wind or some other way of adding energy to this energy meter, which also stores power. And this solar panel, of course, does what solar panels do. Adding to the intrigue is that this isn't even a standalone set. This is actually an add-on set meant for use with other things that came out at the same time. Here's a set called Lego Education's Machines and Mechanisms, which demonstrates some principles of energy storage, I suppose, and you use this as an add-on to that set to build these things. This set doesn't actually have anything other than what's shown at the front of the box, so these beams and whatever must come from the other set. You can also attach it to the EV3. And this is kind of interesting because that suggests that this item has not just a power functions plug, but the EV3 or NXT, Ethernet looking connector somewhere on it. We've never actually looked at one of these in person before, so we're quite curious what we're going to find when we open this box. Okay, let's take a look at what's here. This is a standard long power functions extension cable. Nothing different from the consumer version as far as we could tell. And this is the standard power functions lights. These blades come in one other education set. One thing we noticed is the education bags have a pull tab on them, presumably so you can open things in the classroom without scissors, but these don't, so you'd still need the scissors. Six blades, you expect. They're made of some sort of, oh no, this is probably ABS. A little bridge here of raised bumps. This is the E motor, which I believe was not available through Shop at Home. It's similar in size and connections to the M motor, except that it's taller and there's studs on top. Functionally, it differs because it doesn't run as fast and doesn't produce as much torque. But you can backdrive it trivially, which is not something you can do with the M motor. It's a solar panel, and it's actually quite big. This is 3, 3, 4, so it's 10 studs by 8 goes to there. The other gate goes to there, so it's a 10 by 16 footprint with the power functions connector on the bottom and only on the bottom. I don't think I've seen this anywhere else. One unfortunate part of having these underside connectors is that there's no access from any of the sides. So how are you supposed to take this off safely? You grab here and pull. That's using the strain relief inside the power functions connector to use the cable to disconnect it, which you can do, but I've also seen power functions cables fail this way. It would be best if you could pry it, but the usual place to pry is blocked, so you basically have to push on the side like that. Not so easy. The packaging describes this as an energy meter, but shows it attached to this part, which we'll open next. This is the only thing in the set that also comes in bubble wrap. So, some familiar looking stuff here. A power functions connector, this familiar green button, and this orange dial that looks very similar to the one on the rechargeable battery box. Up top, there is an EV3 port, not an NXT port. The EV3 cables, I think, are different. There's a power functions connector on the bottom, and then here, an indicator that says 8.4 volts, presumably the voltage on this battery pack. This set came out in 2010, so this battery has presumably been sitting for a while. Let's see if it actually has any voltage in it. That way, and yeah, there's 2.6 volts left. The box was pretty heavy, but it turns out most of the weight is these manuals. And I assume this I means that there's information about the power meter in here. All right, a warning about how to deal with the batteries. How to get started. We have a regular 9-volt battery box. And the reason we think this will work is because it shows a double A power functions box and doesn't say anything about the direction you have to push it. So this on the back is the input to the device, and this is the output. There's a bunch of stuff on the screen, so let's start from the middle. This large number that's going up is the internal energy storage in joules. One is the voltage on the input, the amps from the input, and the watt of the charging. We're at 100 joules now, so I guess it might be full. The connector on the front is the output, and the one on the back is the input. These numbers presumably correspond to the characteristics of the output. I don't understand how the output voltage can be higher than the input voltage unless there's a step-up circuit inside this device. But let's just try this. Control the output on and see some amps are running. We've removed the energy storage just to see what happens if we do that. And it still runs if you supply enough power, but there's this warning, which isn't explained. Of course, turning that off causes it to die immediately. The great outdoors, where we've done some other testing. It's about 5:30 in the afternoon right now here in California, so there's still some sun left because it's almost summer. Let's see how much power we can get from the solar panel. And reset that. Oops. So currently 4 volts and basically no amps. Let's go into the sun. And we turn the panel towards the sun. Just about 6 volts, but the amperage is still very low. That's just how solar panels are. Half a watt, though, that's pretty good. So what's half a watt look like? We plugged in the E-motor, so let's find out. So here, at this angle, there's still some power. And at this, nothing, of course, pointed at the ground. So now we've attached the motor again, and we're going to find out how hard it is to actually put some energy into the meter. This time, the energy source is me, so we'll just put this on, and I'm going to spin it. That's 1. Since the limiting factor is speed and not my strength, we geared it up, so now I can turn it much faster. See? We've plugged the motor into the input port on the back of the energy meter, and then built a fan on top of it, or rather a wind turbine. And so now we're going to see if we can collect any energy by standing outside where the wind is better. Just to make sure this works, I'm going to spin it by hand. You can see that some voltage was generated. Well, we've been waiting for a few minutes, and we haven't yet had a breeze strong enough to rotate this. I'm sure there's some lesson about renewable energy that we're learning here, but it might not have been the one they wanted to teach. 20 joules, and I'm going to stop charging the meter. And this motor draws about 0.15 watts, so we would expect to be able to run this for, at least a minute or so before all of this is expended. And let's see what happens. 22, 21, 20, and then abruptly, no joules. Something odd is going on here. This is a pretty neat device, and it does do a lot, even though it doesn't entirely work anymore. Uh, so long as it's plugged in, at least, you can read the voltage and amperage consumed by a motor while you have it plugged in and running. And that's kind of cool. There aren't that many ways to do this without grabbing your own, of course, do it with your own multimeter, but this is kind of inconvenient, particularly for the amps, since you can't do it without splitting the wire. So it's nice to be able to have a Lego device with Lego connectors that will do it. Unfortunately, it gets let down by what seems to happen to a lot of consumer electronics, which is that the batteries die if they're not used regularly, or maybe there's some other problem. We're not sure. This might not be serviceable. It's brighter out today than the previous day we tested the solar panel, and it's also earlier in the day. Here in California, the sun tends to peak around 2 or 3 in the afternoon during daylight saving time. So we built a test chassis using the old gear motor to run a train. The reason we use the old gear motor is because that motor consumes very little current. Lego has designed it as such back in the RCX days because that also couldn't produce much output current. This pulls quite well even if we attach multiple train cars to it because the motor is very efficient. We then tried an official Lego train motor. This specific motor is the RC train motor. I don't remember if the efficiency of it is better or worse than the later train motors. In general, Lego train motors aren't that efficient, and when we ran it like this, it worked, but as soon as there was an interruption in the power, it just stopped and wouldn't start up again.